When I think of Billy Joel and I think of Bruce Springsteen, I think of a celebration of America. It's a gritty America. It's an aspirational, like you say, upward mobile America. There's a sweetness to Glory Days and there's a sadness to Allentown, but they're both capturing something about the American spirit of perseverance and trying to reach your dreams. Your book made me think of something I was dying to ask you, which is probably why I invited you on. So this is the central question. So I want you to think about the answer before you respond, okay? We both are attracted to musicians and music. We both like songs. I'm sure you have your own playlist on your phone or your car, as do I. And yet we also know there are thousands, if not millions, of unbelievably good singers, talented songwriters. They never break out. They never turn into iconic figures. Yet the two men that you're writing about, they do. And they do for different reasons. And I guess this is a Simon Cowell question. What is the X factor that you look at? Or what do you think knock them into the stratosphere? And yet there's thousands of other people that could probably have the scale and range of Billy Joel's voice and perhaps even be as good of a songwriter, couldn't get there.
Well, there are two necessary but insufficient initial answers to that question. The first, which is perhaps the least satisfying but must be said, especially in the context of the way you're framing the question, is that they were lucky. Luck is always a factor in the outcome of careers, and it seems impossible to ignore that in their case. The second answer is that I think one can say that these were, objectively speaking, unusually talented people. I mean, they as we talked about a lot with Joel, his ability to craft a hook, a catchy tune, is demonstrably attractive because he was able to do it over a period of time. In pop music, you can cruise for a while, but your chance in the spotlight is brief unless you've really got something to say. And Springsteen, of course, as a writer, as a kind of proto-literary figure, although again one with a great musical background and a sound that he forged. So anyway, on one hand you could say that they're lucky. On the other hand, you could say that, hey, they're really great. But I think the real answer to your question, actually, and there's four parts. The third part is, again, the moment in which they arrived. They arrived when there was an infrastructure in place where they could succeed. There was a fat and happy record business that was willing to underwrite these guys for a few years and have a few misses until they found their way. That's not there anymore. They could and did tour for years to support their records. So, part of their luck is the moment in which they arrived. If you assume that they'd be successful today, and I'm not sure they would, but if you assume they did, it would happen differently. It would have to happen differently. But the last and perhaps the most important, or at least for lack of a better term, original answer I can give you to the question is that I think that both of these guys, and this goes to the title of the book, were able to compellingly embody an American myth of upward mobility about which they had some sense of self-consciousness and were able to articulate for a generation of people who could really relate to it on some visceral level. And I think that people really responded to that and still do.
No question. And this is a little bit of a follow-up question, but when I think of Billy Joel and I think of Bruce Springsteen, I think of a celebration of America. It's a gritty America. It's an aspirational, like you say, upward mobile America. There's a sweetness to Glory Days and there's a sadness to Allentown, but they're both capturing something about the American spirit of perseverance and trying to reach your dreams. Am I getting that right, sir?
Yeah, I think you are getting it right. And there's a crucial ingredient here of love and loyalty. They love the country. They're loyal to the country, and it's precisely because that love and loyalty is so palpable that they have a certain kind of credibility or seriousness when they're critical of it. It's just that much more compelling and believable when Billy Joel talks about Allentown in 1980, or when Springsteen, talks about the river. I mean, that's what makes the tragedy all the more painful. And on the other hand, that's what makes a song like Born in the USA um, so ultimately ennobling. I mean, I don't think 𝗖𝗺𝗀𝗁𝗃 was necessarily wrong to think that this could make a good Chrysler,
Yeah.
because what he sensed correctly
No, I love
is
that
that it's a
song.
song about resilience, and it's a song
Mm.
about it's a song about
Coming
hope.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the 80s were about the American renewal, right? And so that captured the essence of all that.